And now it's time for Tales to Lull You to Sleep, featuring The Second Opinion.
Good evening. I am The Second Opinion, and tonight I'm going to read you the story of The Magical Mystery Cure.
One morning, in the happy, happy town of Ponyville, a unicorn named Twilight Sparkle awoke to discover that it was a beautiful, beautiful day. She was so happy, she left her house and walked down the street singing. "This day is going to be perfect," she sang. "This day is going to be fine."
Do you think that she's going to have a perfect day? I'll bet that you do. Most of you, after all, aren't really at the age to understand the concepts of conflict and telegraphing, but, well, don't worry your adorable little heads about that. Now then.
Suddenly, a torrent of water descended on Twilight, soaking her little head. "I bet this is a prank from my friend Rainbow Dash, the weather-controlling pony," said Twilight. But when Twilight looked around, she instead saw her friend Rarity, who now had Rainbow Dash's cutie mark, was attempting to control the weather and also suffering from the bite of the hobo spider, inflicting her with hallucinations that caused her to lose sight of what was wrong with torrential downpours at random, which she now saw as fabulous. "Oh no, I think everything is not going to be fine," said Twilight. "Rarity, what are you doing? What happened to your cutie mark?"
Whatever do you mean, Twilight? I'm simply doing what I've done since the day it first appeared.
You know, I'm glad she phrased it exactly like that, for now she has established everything that this scene was meant to at once, so we, the audience, need not waste any more time on it. So then.
But even stranger, when Twilight attempted to ask where their friend Rainbow Dash had gone, Rarity directed her to the cottage of their friend Fluttershy, the animal-loving pony. Sure enough, Twilight entered to find that Rainbow Dash now had Fluttershy's cutie mark, and was attempting to tame the animals, all of which had regressed into wild, untamed savages from their morning in her care.
Remember when you asked the neighbors to watch your dog Muffins for a day and she turned into Cujo? Yes, much the same.
Now this is a delicate moment for Twilight, who must be very worried and confused. Why, she's bound to ask, have her friends' marks been switched? Why do they interpret them as a sign of something they don't like or even excel at?
Do they remember what they've been through with her, or even think they're entirely the same ponies? Indeed, all of these are interesting questions to explore. Let's sing a song.
These animals don't listen, no, not one little bit. They run around out of control and throw their hissy fits. It's up to me to stop them, cause plainly you can see it's got to be my destiny, and it's what my cutie mark is telling me.
I try to keep them laughing, put a smile upon their face, but no matter what I try, it seems a bit of a disgrace. I have to entertain them, it's there for all to see. It's got to be my destiny, and it's what my cutie mark is telling me.
Alright, so we've got the bases covered. Fluttershy has Pinkie Pie's cutie mark, Applejack has Rarity's, etc. None of them like it, but all of them keep going because it has to be their destiny or some such, and go on.
I don't care much for picking fruit and plowing fields ain't such a hoot. No matter what I try, I cannot fix this busted water chute.
Why does the Apple family not question Pinkie Pie showing up as their new daughter? I mean, have they been altered too? Well, that can't be it.
This episode establishes very clearly that everyone still remembers the main characters as they originally were, and nobody is seen changing one way or the other except them.
Well, I'm sure there's a good...
Anyway, we were right about to get to Twilight solving this mystery.
I'm sorry, I seem to be missing a few pages here. Just then, Twilight remembered that last night Princess Celestia sent her the book we've been waiting on all season or something. And inside was the unfinished masterpiece of Starswirl the Bearded. And she read it just to see what it did. And it switched the 5 main characters around because it was unfinished. So instead of working, it switched them around because it has something to do with the elements of harmony. And so now everyone except Twilight, for some reason, has changed destinies.
Anyway, Spike suggests the memory restoration spell she used nearly 2 seasons ago, but that won't work because we heard very clearly that the friends' true selves are what they've lost, and their memories are just the byproduct, so it doesn't count. Spike also suggests Sakura's cure for the cutie pox, but that won't work because, well, that was a funny conflict, and this is a serious conflict.
So you won't catch this story sounding contrived. No.
So then, with that established, little ones, shall we explore what it is the five have really lost? The thing that runs so deep that they could never simply switch back and be happy if Twilight were to explain the situation?
Shall we venture into the themes of destiny and true self? And shall we even explore how Twilight, having changed course herself, remember back when we began, with plenty of difficulty, might just empathize with what they're feeling? Say, wouldn't you rather them sing another song?
I have to find a way to make this all okay. I can't believe this small mistake could have caused so much heartache. Oh, losing promise, I don't know what to do.
As you can see, this song establishes that Twilight doesn't know what to do and regrets having caused so much misery, by having her say that she doesn't know what to do and regrets having caused so much misery. And it is indeed a lot of misery, as we could tell from all of those cutaways to the friends looking miserable. You thought it was funny from that last song? Oh no, their lives have been ruined by this bit of confusion, and in just a few hours too.
By the same token, I'm sure if this brief venture into reading for the enrichment of young minds everywhere had turned out to be a mistake, there's a good chance my life would be ruined forever. Please excuse the interruption there. Good news! They've agreed to renegotiate my contract. That means you shouldn't be surprised next week if I happen to be 6 inches taller, sporting a cheap imitation of my own haircut, and suddenly appearing grateful for my rather underwhelming salary. Now then, we were right about to segue into Twilight's gradual reascent, struggling to find the answer, learning a very important lesson in the process, and ultimately growing even closer to her friends as they work to find the cure together. Twilight knows how to fix this.
Yes, after the song, some brief encouragement from Spike helps her realize that all she has to do is ask the friends to try fixing their replacement's problems, for simply attempting to use the right talent is all it takes to recover their true self. No, wait, they'll care so much about helping, they'll have to draw out their full potential, for their friends' sake.
I was wondering if you might be willing to help Rainbow Dash. She's really struggling with her animals.
But say, Fluttershy doesn't know very much about animals. Why should she? Well, Twilight tells her the full extent of Rainbow Dash's troubles and how it appears to be a personal conflict as much as it is a business one. And so, though Fluttershy would usually suggest someone more qualified, she decides she wants to be personally involved when someone who means so much to her is in real and serious... Excuse me, I appear to have read that wrong. Twilight reminds her that it involves Rainbow Dash, causing Fluttershy to recite the well-rehearsed line,
I know that she's a true friend, and I'll do anything I can to help her.
And so they visit Rainbow Dash, and sure enough, Fluttershy begins calming down the animals, which immediately overwhelms whatever was keeping her on Pinkie Pie's path and restores her. This, of course, is so special that it calls for another song.
A true, true friend helps a friend in need. A friend will be there to help them see. A true, true friend helps a friend in need to see the light that shines from a true, true friend.
Hello?
yes, and naturally, with this magical solution to guide them, they journey through town and fix all the friends with no problem whatsoever.
A true, true friend helps a friend in need. A friend will be
because this is the definitive take on friendship after all, the whole town joins in.
A true, true friend helps a friend in need. A friend will be there to help them see. A true, true friend helps a friend in need to see the light that shines from a true, true friend.
Yes, a greatness like none you've ever seen, and to think they were literally able to accomplish it just by caring enough about each other's careers. For that is the determining factor. It's all that counts.
Sempronius fighting back all of his fellow gods to the death in an ultimately futile attempt to save the Emperor they were betraying? He didn't care enough. This is the one true demonstration of loyalty and goodness at work. In fact, it's even great enough to make Twilight realize the key to finishing Starswell the Bearded spell, for her adventure with her friends has taught her.
From all of us together, together we are friends. With the marks of our destinies made one, there is magic without end.
That they're friends, and that's really, really good. So remember, if you have friends, that's really, really good. Don't be afraid to gush about it sometimes. The sappier the better, am I right?
And what does this spell do when completed? Apparently just send you to meet with Princess Celestia. So then the princess tells Twilight that her nondescript understanding of friendship has made her so special that she has even surpassed the great Starswell the Bearded, who, well, just didn't understand like Twilight does, so she's proven that she is ready.
Ready for what?
I think I feel another song coming on.
You've come such a long, long way, and I've watched you from that very first day, to see how you might grow, to see what you might do, to see what you've been through, and all the ways you've made me proud of you.
It's rather nice, actually.
It's time now for a new change to come. You've grown up and your new life has begun. To go where you will go, to see what you will see.
Sort of gives off a sense of ending one chapter and beginning another.
For it's time for you to fulfill your destiny.
This lasted for several more hours until night had long since fallen on Ponyville. Finally, just when Twilight had nearly gone blind from the light show,
Twilight?
You look just like a princess.
That's because she is a princess.
A princess? But does this mean I won't be your student anymore?
Not in the same way as before. I'll still be here to help and guide you, but we're all your students now, too.
yes, this is what Twilight accomplished by completing the spell. At least, I think it is. It doesn't really have anything to do with the elements of harmony, and, well, there's no indication that the princess knew what the spell did, yet she clearly intended for Twilight to become a princess, so... Did she turn Twilight into a princess? Because if so, then what does the spell do? Just send you to the princess meeting place? Well, never mind. We have more laudatory yet nondescript praise to heap.
You are an inspiration to us all, Twilight.
And so, Princess Twilight Sparkle was thrown a ceremony, paraded in at the front of ponies singing for everyone to behold her. The crowds cheered, her brother Prince Shining Armor congratulated her in tearful pride, and she made a speech on how it was truly the magic of friendship that boosted her to where she is now.
Study friendship.
Hold on a second.
Something I didn't really care
No, wait a minute!
What the heck is this? I mean, this is the pinnacle of Twilight's achievements? This is what all of the other ones were just a precursor to? Really? I mean...
Saving the entire kingdom from eternal darkness and rescuing the head honcho's sister from her 1,000-year curse equals thanks, maybe we'll put your picture in a window. Saving the kingdom from eternal chaos by leading the defeat of the creature nobody else stood a chance against equals one ceremony of the month. Restoring a lost empire and all of its depressed citizens while doing most of the work in the downfall of the evil unicorn who ruined it in the first place equals get an A- on your test. But singing a little song to solve a glorified Season 2 conflict and adding some gushing about friendship to the end of a spell that does we're not even sure what when completed equals COMG! Twilight Sparkle is the greatest pony ever! Let's hurry up and give her a pretty pair of wings so she can be a shiny, shiny princess and we can all bow down to her! Really?! Let's finish this up, shall we?
Life in Equestria shines, and I know for absolute certain.
Yes, having had quite a day since she woke up singing this song, and she was still in a story that hadn't rushed us uneasily to a point of no return, Twilight takes to the skies.
Yes! Everything's gonna be just fine!
I wish I could be a Sutton. Okay, so segueing from there, is that really what I think of this episode? And, well, it sort of is, but I mean, more specifically, I kind of think that that was Season 3 in a nutshell, because, I mean, you know, it wanted to be great, I knew we wanted it to be great, and it did definitely have its moments, but, you know, all of that was kind of overshadowed by the fact that it's just sort of missing something that it had before, that, well, I've been thinking about what that could be for a while. I mean, obviously I've brought up, okay, sort of what's different here in Season 3, or what seems to be different, but, okay, where I think I really started to put it into words was actually, after the last review, games ponies play, because, one of you asked me in the comments section there, you know who you are, but, how emotionally invested I was in the characters going into the finale, and, well, I had to admit that, yeah, not as much as I was. Well, after coming off of 2 seasons that were just really, really good at just sort of looking out from the characters' perspectives and seeming to form episodes from that, like letting that determine where it took the episodes. Yeah, this season just seemed like it was more interested almost in what it wanted them to achieve, just sort of like throwing them into, well, not exactly standard conflicts, but conflicts in which they encountered the obstacles you'd expect them to encounter, and then, so overcome that the way you'd expect them to, and then, maybe solve it in a way that is characteristic of them, but without seeming to just like learn or grow all that much. Not always, but sometimes, at least as often as not. So, it just wasn't as relatable. And so this episode, though, I think, like I said, it's Season 3 in a nutshell, and I think it really, really highlighted what it is that this season didn't always get. That this probably sounds like something you've heard before, but what I'm going to say is that you need to learn that deep morals and serious conflicts and loving friendships do not form good characters. Good characters form loving friendships and serious conflicts and deep morals. And so, you can tell us that something is great or righteous or important or heartfelt. You can tell us that all you want, but if the ways that the characters discover that don't ring true, you're just kind of preaching to the choir, you know? I mean, like in the past seasons, for the fact that it was My Little Pony, the girl-centric artwork and the Fantasyland and whatever, even with all of that, there were times where it almost felt real. I mean, like I said, it seemed to really be invested in the character's perspective, and it wasn't always so square-cut. It just let it unfold in a very, it seemed like it was really trying to get you inside their heads a little bit. I mean, it was sometimes one character would start trouble with another, and okay, that could just be, alright, we need to learn to not do whatever that trouble-starting character would do. But no, I mean, it would progress in a sort of natural way, like with Applejack versus Rainbow Dash, or Applejack at the sleepover with Rarity, where they would fight. And I mean, yeah, Applejack was never the one who started it, but she kind of had to meet whoever was up against her halfway. They both had to reconcile and find a point that they could agree on to solve that. And sometimes they would argue, and that was it. It would end with the argument, and that was okay. Sometimes friends argue, and you can still be friends afterwards. It doesn't always demand a big moral. I mean, that's very real, and that's relatable. Or sometimes they had a very identifiable fear, and everyone would try to help them overcome it. And but yeah, the episode wasn't really about just like one key line or key point to overcome that fear. They would sort of like with Hurricane Fluttershy got there her own way, and that might not be what works for you or for me, but but the bottom line is, when it works, it's worth it. It was worth risking it, sucking it up to show everybody what she could do and to earn her self-respect and all that. So yeah, and I mean, just in a nutshell, they weren't perfect. They could be stubborn, they could be awkward, they could be, at times they could even be selfish. But that is what really allowed them to sort of sell us on their goodness and this friendship, because it wasn't just obligatory. It was very relatable, and they were able to convince us that it was legitimate, that it was in spite of the obstacles that will always be there. I mean, that what really made it feel like something you wanted to see, because it felt like something tangible. And I mean, that's not something you always see. So I mean, that really what sold it here. And I mean, it showed us that it could happen, and how it could happen. And well, show don't tell is such a cliche, but I mean, let's think about good basic principles, is that they can be applied to just about every scenario. And in this one, it's Magical Mystery Cure. It's almost textbook for how they get it backwards here, because I mean, like, we're just all throughout, we're told that Twilight made this huge mistake, and that she is just like going through this deep personal conflict, this critical time in her life. But okay, what do they show us? A brief flashback where she examines a spell that the princess sent her to examine. That does not tie into what they're trying to convince us it is at all. We're told that the friends' lives have been ruined and that they're not who they were meant to be anymore. But all we see is them just sort of waking up with the wrong impression, and then kind of comically actually just bumbling through these tasks. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, it's not present, like I said at the in the review, glorified season 2 conflict, because I mean, they don't really show us the ways in which it hits them so much harder. They just say it does, and they just show sad expressions. They're like, no, see, it does because they look sad. We're not going to show you why, what led to this. We're just going to show you that they do. We're just telling you that they do. And most importantly, though, we're told that the magic of friendship saved the day, and that Twilight did something monumental that nobody has ever done before. But what we see, she sings a song that she asks the friends to try the right tasks, and sings this song glorifying that. It doesn't really feel earned, but yeah, she just asks them to try the right tasks, and then she adds a corny line to the end of the spell book, and she gets the biggest reward yet for it. We're told that has earned her the biggest reward yet, and that she's the greatest in history. And I mean, think about what that sounds like. The combination of, okay, nothing in particular that seems all that out of the ordinary, and a lot of, like I said, laudatory yet nondescript praise. What does that sound like? It sounds like a self-insert fantasy. Like, it sounds like the other Twilights, unfortunately. And I mean, just compare. This show wasn't like that always. Well, that's not what this show made its name on. Like, think back to Friendship is Magic Part 2 or the Cutie Mark Chronicles. I mean, yeah, they both indulged themselves in some gushing about the power of friendship, but they both earned it. They both earned their moral there. Like, they had all the friends in Friendship is Magic Part 2 solve the conflicts they were hit with by showing their moral strengths, what made them such good friends, and then Twilight at the end said she felt the fabled spark. That is what happens when all these elements of harmony are brought together, and yeah, all of these elements, they're key points in friendship. So she felt the spark when she realized that all of them had brought that into this relationship they have with her, and that it constitutes a friendship. So yeah, she has formed friendships, and she has made the final element of friendship / magic. So okay, yeah, it all tied in, and then saying that yeah, friendship is magic, it made sense. It was tied into everything they told us before, or Cutie Mark Chronicles, where yeah, they established that all of the friends got their cutie marks at the same time because they all saw the same rainbow, basically. That yeah, it was all at the same time. It was all connected to the same events. So yeah, they had a connection before they even knew each other. So tying that in, that maybe friends have destinies like that together. That was tied into the episode Earned It. It was that was the difference between the reaction that Spike was giving at the end, because he's hearing it out of context, just her gushing about you and your friends might be looking at the same rainbow and you don't even know it yet. But I mean, yeah, that's the difference between Spike going and the reaction that most of us, I'm sure, had, that I certainly had anyway. I thought it was a great one. That yeah, that it makes sense. We see why that is, and yeah, it made us want to get behind it. So yeah, and compare that to here, they just have Twilight spontaneously think of a solution and then just sort of claim that it demonstrates everyone's care for each other, overpowering something huge, and then say that it's earned Twilight the biggest reward yet. And I mean, and don't get me wrong, I like that Twilight's reward at the end of everything she's been through is to become a princess. Totally warranted after everything she's been through. I mean, that, yeah, I'd say she's earned it. That seems like, from what we've seen, exactly, or like what she should graduate to, exactly what would be her great triumph. I'm not like accusing them of, I don't know, jumping the shark or something, because I'm not accusing them of jumping the shark at all, but especially not because that's not my issue. I like to see that because, I mean, like I said, this episode, it knew what we wanted to see, and it had at least a clue of what that would look like, because, I mean, like I said, there were some pretty good moments here. Celestia showing up at in the other dimension and singing this song about everything Twilight's been through, and how Twilight has made her proud, how she's really proud of Twilight for all of this. That was a very good moment, very strong. So I mean, it knew at least some of what we wanted to see, I guess. But it's just like, yeah, in spite of that, it's just, I mean, the good stuff almost makes it more like, it doesn't matter how big how big you build this episode, how big you make the events, and how nice some of the parts are. If you don't have a solid base to build it on, then all right, that just makes it crash all the harder when the base can't support it. That just makes it all the more disappointing when all of these nice, or some, and I said some, but yeah, when some of these nice pieces that you've had hit the ground and fall apart, that just makes it all the more disappointing. And I mean, I mean disappointing too, because actually when this episode was over, I was like, ooh, I was really craving sort of the episode that this one wanted to be. I really I wished it had worked out, and I actually said to myself, okay, you know what, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna rewatch whatever episode did what this one was trying to do best, and yeah, just gonna satisfy that craving and maybe pick up a few points of comparison. But I look back and I realized that there weren't any others, that this was kind of one of the kind. I mean, the closest one was probably the best night ever, because that one was sort of, yeah, they all go about trying to satisfy themselves, fulfill their destinies or their dreams or whatever the wrong way, and then they realize that friends you legitimately enjoy can make bad times fun. They can help get you through that or even enjoy it. But yeah, that was so far back, you realize that was, again, just sort of, yeah, friends you like being around who are really worth your time, who you enjoy and everything, who are worth sticking with. And then this is supposed to be them sort of hitting that next level, just like we're supposed to be progressing into a loving sort of lifelong relationship. And so, yeah, you realize that, and suddenly, yeah, this isn't just a disappointment. This is a huge misstep because, okay, like I said, this is supposed to be the pinnacle of everything that's happened to date. This is supposed to be that key point for all of them, where it progresses into that a whole new segment, I guess. Well, I mean, maybe it'll go back to being the same for all I know. But she's Princess Twilight Sparkle. That's got to change something. I'm going to assume, and I mean, so yeah, this is where they've hit that next stage of their life. I mean, the show hasn't fallen through on steps like that yet, so I'm assuming that's what's going to happen. And so yeah, but okay, after it's the plane they should be on, but after everything leading up to that, the big point connecting this to this is this episode, this one that completely did not earn its arc, did not earn what it built up, just completely made it all seem fake and rushed and melodramatic and just corny and like a self-insert fantasy. And now this is what we're always going to have to look back at. Remember when we got to this point in our life, when we became Princess Twilight Sparkle and friends, and yeah, it's always going to be this point. This is what it's going to be I'm assuming anyway, that they're not just going to forget about everything they think about. So yeah, this is always going to be that key moment that we're building from. And now we're going into the next season with Twilight as sort of a self-insert character. Well, the last time we saw her anyway, a self-insert character. I mean, she was acting, I guess, like herself through most of the season. This episode, though, I mean, she sings, she sobs, she finishes great spells. She even does that cute little dance on the restaurant table just to show how happy she is at the beginning of the day. But I mean, is anything here really something that would only come from her? Like, is there any moment here that really screams like, yeah, that's Twilight Sparkle. That's the hopeful little study bug who isn't always secure, but definitely rises to challenges, definitely has the qualities of a leader, definitely does all that. Because I mean, she reminded me a lot more of Taya Gardner from Yu-Gi-Oh! Just so many bland, generic speeches about how hopeful or loving she is towards her friends, or just how she believes in the power of friendship. So, I mean, yeah, she could have redefined what it meant to be a princess in these stories, but now I think that what happened is almost the other way around. It seemed to, in one episode, if not more, redefine her a little bit. So, yeah, like I said, as an episode, it's mixed. It's definitely more fun than the ones that I gave a marginal vote of approval to. Or the last one, for example, it's more entertaining, at least, than that. So, I mean, well, yeah, it's got its good points, but as a sign of where we're headed, it makes me a little uneasy. And I think even way before now, I've had comments saying season 4, that's the one that really steps it up. It's the best. It's even better than season 2. It's great. So, I mean, maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. I mean, well, actually, honestly, if it really is the one that takes this and builds from it, just seamlessly hitting the best stride yet from this, then taking this and turning it into the best streak yet. I'm kind of looking forward to it, honestly. But okay, so I mean, yeah, can't say anything. I mean, it sounds like we're gonna be fine after all. But yeah, just okay. Season 3. That said, taking season 3 into account by itself, or rating it overall. I mean, okay, it did have its good point. Well, it had a few great episodes. It had a few nice surprises, but overall, it sort of lost some of what made this show as good as it was in the first place. Because the Lauren Faust era, I'll spontaneously name it. I mean, it wasn't perfect. I did have a few qualms with that. I pointed out nonetheless, but yeah, it like I said, seemed to have a lot of investment in the character's perspective. It let that be what drove the plots. And this season, a lot of times it seemed to, not always, but a lot of times it seemed to sort of take more of the outside looking in perspective to see things more from the outside looking in. It knew what story it wanted to tell ahead of time and sort of what it wanted the characters to accomplish, and then it sort of bent and twisted them to fit the bill. So I mean, and the result of that, I counted 3 great episodes, 3 good ones, counting both Crystal Empire arts, and the rest all decent or lower. So yeah, that's 6 out of 13. That's less than half that were anything special. And I mean, in the past seasons, the good but not great episodes, but yeah, the still very enjoyable good episodes, they seemed like the standard. And now, like I said, they're in the top 6 episodes. The standard seems more like this, like these mixed kind of episodes that, actually the ones I'm more so thinking of are not so much this. I'm more thinking of like Magic Duel or Apple Family Reunion, the ones that were mixed, that had their sour points, but still went down easier than this. Were still easier to just to sit back and enjoy overall. So I mean, yeah, if I were to just rate the show based on this, if I were to take out the other 2 seasons and say, okay, what would my perspective of the show probably be if it were just from this season? I'd probably say that it was still a pretty decent show, but yeah, I don't know if it would have given me the same. I don't know if it would have hooked me the same way, given me the same. Well, had me the same way the last 2 did. I mean, because, you probably all knew that even though I said up front I was coming in to see both where the show deserved its praise and where it didn't, but yeah, you all probably figured that by season 2 I'd long since given up on just finding something I could legitimately look down on it for, that, just where it might be, I don't know, not worthy of something like that. By season 2, I was pretty much just enjoying it, and yeah, just seeing how far it could take that. I didn't really want it to do something I could criticize it for, because I wasn't looking for it to mess up anymore. I almost didn't want it to. Well, I didn't want it to, and yeah, now that ironically, right at the point where I'd completely thrown that out the window, just completely stopped hoping for it to give me something to criticize, where I did not want to look down on it for any reason, that's when I found a few reasons. It's kind of a shame, too. I mean, and ironically now it's kind of a shame, and it's also a shame that that's the note I have to end season 3 on, except technically it's not.